FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
1945, 46, 47. First Franklin Roosevelt, then Harry Truman, with the help of some very skilled advisors, decided that American security could not be achieved by island fortress, go it alone. We formed alliances. We formed the Atlantic Alliance in the form of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. We combined the armies and the navies of 12 or 14 countries to make us all more secure, not only to achieve containment of communism, but also to help solve collectively other security problems. Now that was 60 some years ago. What puzzles me as an American who thinks about these things is, where are the Harry Trumans today? We've gone exactly the opposite way in Iraq. We have gone it alone, despite all the talk about coalition. This is an American war. And we did so while thumbing our nose at the very countries that we have cooperated with in the second half of the 20th century to make us secure. I suggest in this essay that America, I use three images. America should be the watchman on the tower. We should use our intelligence collection in cooperation with others to look as far ahead as we can, to anticipate dangers, not just from terrorism, but climate change and so forth. And in effect, warn the other nations of the world what's coming and share that information, not just hold it to ourselves. Second, we should be what I call the guardian of the commons. Now, I don't mean we should go it alone. And by commons, those of you who know New England know that almost all the old New England towns were built on a square. And that square in Boston and elsewhere was where people grazed their cattle. Nobody owned it. Everybody owned it in common. And that's what the idea of the commons was about. Now, we've lost that a lot. We here in the West tend to be more independent, go it alone to a large degree. But I think increasingly, we understand that there's a lot of things we own in common. Oil and gas supplies on public lands themselves, recreation areas, on and on and on. Nothing do we hold in common more than the environment itself, air, water, public lands, and so on. We need to recapture that sense of the commons and, frankly, broaden it out to include the globe. There is a global commons. There are a lot of things human beings, not just Americans, but human beings have in common. And if you've had the chance to travel, as I have, what strikes you in visiting foreign countries is, in some ways, the difference of the cultures, food and other things. But now with mass transportation, everybody's you get the same food everywhere and on and on and on. Everybody dresses the same. But basically what we have in common as human beings. And that's going to be central to security, American security and global security in the 21st century, finding what we have in common. And finally, the third role is what I call architect of security, that is forming, as Truman did, forming new alliances, structuring new institutions. Let's take the non-military one. I've mentioned global warming. There is no international EPA. You'd say, well, finally in the 70s, America realized we needed an agency to look after the environment. So the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, was created. Is there an international one? No. Should there be one? I think so. Why isn't there one? Well, we don't want foreign-speaking people telling us what to do or what kind of cars to drive, particularly if we have to drive smaller ones. But that's kind of where humanity is stuck on security issues now. And that is, if we're going to make ourselves truly secure, we're going to have to reach agreements with other people. One argument against taking climate change steps here is, well, what good does it do if the Chinese and Indians don't do what we're doing. Well, that's a good argument. But it's not an argument for doing nothing, it's an argument for getting them to take the same kind of measures we are.